Hello, I'm Assistant Professor Lauren Vachon, and I teach LGBTQ studies at Kent State University in Kent, Ohio, USA. My pronouns are she and they. In 2018 and 2019, I was part of a team of faculty and students who devised, wrote, choreographed, designed, acted, and directed a dramatic piece titled Stonewall Plus 50, The Riot Continues. The Stonewall Uprising, which took place in July 1969, of course, was one of the first uprisings against police brutality by LGBTQ people in the United States. The legacy of those days of unrest still echo forward in time today. For the 50th anniversary of the Stonewall Uprising, a theater professor, Dr. Dan Naden, and I decided we wanted to devise a project that would allow students to explore the Stonewall Uprising itself and the progress and lack of progress that queer people have experienced since. Students wrote the play, acted in the play, choreographed its dance elements, did stage and sound design, and ran the show. As faculty, Dr. Naden and I viewed our role as members of a team. We were guides for the students, but they were the decision makers. The play students wrote opens in the Stonewall Inn. The uprising itself is represented with a choreographed dance and sound design that integrated music from the 60s, anti-queer propaganda from the era, sirens, shouting voices, and glass breaking. Here's a clip from the uprising's choreography.
So if any one of you have let yourself become involved with an adult homosexual or with another boy, and you're doing this on a regular basis, you better stop quick. Because 1 out of 3 of you will turn queer, and you will be caught. Don't think you won't be caught. Because this is one thing you cannot get away with. This is one thing that if you don't get caught by us, you'll be caught by yourself. And the rest of your life will be a living hell. There may be some in this auditorium. There may be some here today that will be homosexual in the future. There are a lot of kids here. There may be some girls that will turn lesbian. We don't know. But it's serious. Don't kid yourselves about it. They can be anywhere. They can be judges, lawyers. We ought to know we've arrested all of them. And if we catch you involved with a homosexual, your parents are going to know about it first. There may be some in this auditorium. There may be some here today that will be homosexual in the future. There are a lot of kids here. There may be some girls who will turn lesbian. We don't know. But it's serious. Don't kid yourselves about it. They can be anywhere. They can be judges, lawyers. We ought to know we've arrested all of them. So if any one of you have let yourself become involved with an adult homosexual or with another boy, and you're doing this on a regular basis, you better stop quick. Because 1 out of 3 of you will turn queer. And if we catch you involved with a homosexual, your parents are going to know about it first. And you will be caught. Don't think you won't be caught. So this is one thing you cannot get away with. Don't think you won't. This is one thing. If you don't get caught by us, you'll be caught by yourself. The rest of your life will be a living hell. Your parents are going to know about it first. One out of 3 of you will turn queer. They can be anywhere. 1 out of 3 of you will turn lesbian. You better stop quick. Your parents are going to know about it first. They can be anywhere. And you will be caught. You better stop quick. They can be anywhere. Don't think you won't be caught. And you will be caught. 1 out of 3 of you. You better stop quick. think you won't be caught. Don't think you won't be caught.
After the choreographed representation of the Stonewall Uprising, the rest of the play follows a decade-by-decade structure. For each decade, the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and beyond, students wrote scenes depicting some of the struggles of each decade for LGBTQ folks. Topics like racism in the LGBTQ movement, exclusion of bisexuals from the movement, the impact of the AIDS crisis, and struggles that trans people face, all were explored in the script. Here's a clip from a scene from the 2010s in which a transgender character explains to a gay character why she feels excluded from LGBTQ spaces.
No matter what I do, it seems like no one wants to listen to me. I'm here. I want to listen. Just talk to me. About what? There's so much. I don't even know where I can start. What upsets you the most? Start there. Fear. I walk out of my house every morning knowing that there's a strong chance that I could be murdered. Just like that. Someone could end my life all because they don't understand me and they can't accept that they don't understand. That's what I'm trying to get across here. It's not that I want you guys to completely understand me and everything that it means to be trans. I want you guys to understand how dangerous that ignorance really can be. I just want people to listen to me when I talk, hear what I'm saying, and take it in so that they can learn. I'm not looking for the world to completely understand me and everything that it means to be me. I'm looking for it to accept me. 100% acceptance for who I am and everything that comes with it.
I accept you. Completely. 100%. I accept you for you and anything else that you bring along with you. And you are so strong. I've seen some of the things that you put up with on a daily basis. Frankly, I don't know how you do it. I know I'm not even 1/10 as strong a person as you are. There is such beauty in your strength, Olivia. Don't lose that.
Oh, I promise you my strength's not going anywhere. I have too much I have left to do for this world.
While it's on my mind, is it okay if I ask you something?
Sure, go ahead.
What's the best thing I can do to help, or any other trans person? I feel like I'm not doing enough.
I feel like the best thing you can do is just listen. Listen to us when we tell our stories, and on top of that, let us tell our own stories. You have more privilege. Use that to amplify the voices that they don't want to hear. To me, that's the best way that you can be an ally.
Then it's done. You inspire me so much to do better. You should never feel like you're anything less than great.
Thank you, Ryan. You don't know how much all of this means to me. Now, think it's time you went out and celebrated with the others. I've kept you here for long enough.
No. It's time that we went out and celebrated.
No, they wouldn't want me there, not after what just happened.
I'm sure they'll be fine. And if they have a problem, we can celebrate by ourselves. So, are you coming?
Yeah, I am.
The students chose to end the performance by breaking the fourth wall and speaking to the audience directly with the house lights up. The students on stage told about their own personal uprisings and struggles. Here's an example.
This past fall, I attended a conference where I sat with faculty from around the country who do their best to support LGBTQ identifying pre-service teachers. They told stories about teachers who'd been outed through social media or seen with a partner in a public space and fired before they ever knew what was happening. As a grad student, this terrifies me for my upcoming job search because there are still 13 states in our country where I can be fired immediately just for identifying as queer. I've spent the last 7 years at this school learning how to be an advocate for the youngest learner, for our little ones, learning how to break down the gender binary in classrooms and the Eurocentric narratives. But in 9 states, I can't even say lesbian, transgender, asexual, or I could be fired. I can't even speak my students' identities. It's illegal. So how am I supposed to support the students that I relate to the most when I'm not allowed to? We have gone far too long without protections for our LGBTQ students and teachers.
I want to take a minute to talk about the value of what we did using oral histories and why we chose to invite students to embark on a creative project. We asked students to explore oral histories and interviews with Stonewall activists, police, journalists at the time, and bystanders. The technique of using oral histories in creative work was used on our campus before for a dramatic piece about what's known as our May 4th legacy. On the Kent State campus on May 4th, 1970, during protests related to the Vietnam War, 4 students were killed and 9 were wounded by bullets fired by the Ohio National Guard. A few years ago, oral histories from May 4th witnesses and participants were used by faculty and students to create a play titled May 4th Voices. When watching the May 4th Voices play, I felt the process had potential in getting students to interact with history and with the artifacts of history, namely oral histories. For our Stonewall piece, the process allowed students to explore an event they had nearly no connection to. Some of them didn't even know about Stonewall before becoming part of the project. The process allowed students to imagine themselves as activists during Stonewall and during the decades after. The process literally brought history to life in ways that were valuable to our students. I want to share some of the project's challenges and successes. The project was a major undertaking in terms of collaborations, team building, and work. It could only have been accomplished by the stellar powerhouse faculty and students I was lucky enough to work with. Knowing the right talent to bring to the team was key, and this was something I relied on others for as I was a relative newcomer to the university at the time. The project was a major investment of time. Initial planning to performance spanned nearly a year, and we had to foster sustained student involvement for about 8 of those months. But finally, the project was successful. The performances were emotional, the audience was engaged, and best of all, The students who wrote and performed and danced in the piece were themselves transformed. Reliving the experience now for you, I can share that it was to date the most memorable, the best thing I've ever been a part of at my institution. Thank you for allowing me to share this project.